What if the fate of an entire war rested on a single deal? Right now, behind closed doors in Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, the US, and Russia are locked in high-stakes negotiations, not just about peace, but about power, resources, and global influence. Is Ukraine on the verge of securing its future, or is it being pushed into a deal it can't refuse? And with Trump's hardline stance shifting us support, could this be the moment that changes everything? Let's dive into what's really happening behind the scenes. We begin with the latest developments from Saudi Arabia, where us and Ukrainian officials are engaged in high-stakes negotiations aimed at bringing an end to the ongoing war with Russia. This diplomatic initiative comes at a critical moment as tensions between Ukraine and Russia continue to shape global geopolitics. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recently met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to lay the groundwork for these crucial discussions. Zelensky emphasized the need for trust, building measures, and stressed that diplomatic efforts between all parties involved must be strengthened to pave the way for a lasting resolution to the conflict. The timing of these talks is significant, coming less than 2 weeks after a dramatic and highly publicized fallout between former U.S. President Donald Trump and Zelensky during White House discussions. That meeting, joined by Vice President J.D. Vance, descended into an unprecedented public confrontation. Trump accused Zelensky of being a warmonger who was deliberately avoiding a ceasefire with Russia. Additionally, the Ukrainian leader faced accusations of being ungrateful for the extensive military aid that the U.S. has provided since the war began in 2022. This public clash underscored the growing friction between Ukraine and its key ally, the United States, and has cast a shadow over current diplomatic efforts in Saudi Arabia. Amid these mounting military, logistical, and diplomatic challenges, the Saudi-hosted negotiations have taken on immense significance. The agenda for the talks is centered around bringing an end to visible signs of the war that has ravaged Ukraine since February 2022. Central to these discussions are key provisions, including the release of prisoners held by both Russia and Ukraine, the establishment of a truce in the air and at sea, and a cessation of attacks on civilian infrastructure. These measures, if successfully implemented, could lay the foundation for a broader peace agreement. However, Russia has made it clear that it seeks a long-term peace deal rather than a us orchestrated quick ceasefire. Moscow's demands are extensive. In addition to maintaining control over the Ukrainian territories it currently occupies, Russia wants guarantees that NATO will halt its expansion toward Russian borders. This means preventing new countries from joining the U.S.-led alliance, a condition that Russia views as essential for securing its long-term security interests. As these negotiations unfold, discussions are expected to delve into the broader contours of stability between the two warring nations, exploring potential diplomatic frameworks that could prevent future escalations. Ukraine, on the other hand, remains determined to secure its future by seeking NATO membership. The Ukrainian government views NATO as a critical security buffer against potential future Russian aggression. However, Trump and his administration have flatly rejected Ukraine's bid to join the alliance, arguing that it would further escalate tensions with Russia. With NATO membership off the table, Ukraine is now exploring alternative security guarantees. The U.S., however, has made these security assurances conditional upon Ukraine signing a lucrative $500 billion mineral deal. This agreement, if finalized, would grant the U.S. access to Ukraine's vast reserves of rare earth minerals, a strategic asset critical to the global technology and defense industry. The specifics of this proposed security arrangement remain unclear, but the linkage between peace negotiations and economic agreements has raised concerns. The most pressing deliverable from the peace talks, at least from Washington's perspective, appears to be the mineral deal. For Trump-led America, this agreement is central to the negotiations, tying Ukraine's security directly to economic interests. The critical mineral deal is expected to take center stage as talks between Ukraine and the U.S. unfold. In recent days, Zelensky has expressed a willingness to sign the agreement, signaling a potential breakthrough. As these negotiations progress, Ukraine finds itself at a diplomatic crossroads. With American military aid paused, territorial losses accumulating, and a $500 billion mineral deal now intricately tied to its security future, Kyiv faces an extremely delicate balancing act. The Trump administration appears to be taking an increasingly transactional approach to peace, making economic agreements a precondition for continued US support. Meanwhile, Russia is using these talks as an opportunity to solidify its territorial gains and reshape the geopolitical landscape to its advantage. The outcomes of these discussions could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the war, potentially setting the stage for a redefined power structure in Eastern Europe. The world will be watching closely as these negotiations unfold. What transpires in Saudi Arabia over the coming days could determine not just the fate of Ukraine, but also the broader balance of power between the West and Russia. The stakes could not be higher, and the implications of these talks will be felt across the international stage. So, what happens next? Will Ukraine walk away with a peace deal, or just a contract for its rare earth minerals? Will Russia cement its territorial gains, or will these talks shift the balance of power once again? And with Trump tying security guarantees to business interests, is peace becoming just another transaction? One thing is certain: the decisions made in the next few days could redefine global geopolitics. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.